Book nibbles. Big ideas. Small bites. Happiness is one of those universal quests, yet so often people misunderstand where it truly comes from. In Flow, the psychology of optimal experience, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi sets out to show that fulfillment isn't stumbled upon by chance, nor is it handed to us by wealth, fame, or comfort. Instead, it is something crafted, cultivated carefully through the way we direct our attention and engage with life. The essence of the book is the discovery and deep exploration of the state he calls flow, which is a mental space where time seems to dissolve, self-consciousness fades, and complete absorption in the task at hand leads to a kind of joy that feels both effortless and powerful. Csikszentmihalyi develops his argument by weaving psychological research, philosophical reflections, and rich examples from artists, athletes, workers, and everyday people, all of whom show that real happiness comes from mastery of consciousness. He begins by confronting the paradox of modern life. So many people live in conditions more comfortable than at any point in human history, with technology and wealth that would astound our ancestors, yet unhappiness, anxiety, and emptiness seem rampant. Pleasure and comfort, he argues, are not enough. In fact, too much reliance on them leads to boredom. The real engine of fulfillment is active engagement, the moments when challenges meet skills and demand our full presence. Those moments, often small and unremarkable on the surface, are the ones that fill life with meaning. To illustrate this, Csikszentmihalyi describes interviews with rock climbers who speak of feeling alive on the mountain, or composers who lose track of time while immersed in their music. These aren't states achieved by accident, but by entering the condition of flow, a condition that can be understood, cultivated, and applied to almost any part of life. Flow, as he defines it, is characterized by several key elements. First, there must be a balance between challenge and skill. The activity must be difficult enough to stretch one's abilities, but not so hard as to produce anxiety. If a task is too easy, boredom sets in, too hard, and it becomes stressful. Second, clear goals and immediate feedback are present. Whether in a game of chess, a basketball match, or writing a poem, participants know what they are aiming for and can sense how they are doing. Third, attention is fully absorbed in the task, leaving little room for distraction or intrusive thoughts. This leads to a merging of action and awareness. The doer and the doing become one. In flow, people report losing their sense of self-consciousness, time seems distorted, hours can feel like minutes, and afterward there is often a sense of deep satisfaction. But Csikszentmihalyi is not content with just defining flow. He wants to understand why it matters so much. His answer lies in the structure of consciousness itself. Human beings have a limited capacity for processing information. Our attention can only hold so many bits at once. Because of this, what we choose to focus on shapes our experience of reality. Consciousness is like a spotlight, illuminating some aspects of the world and leaving others in shadow. Flow is the state where this spotlight is completely filled with purposeful, ordered information, leaving no room for chaos, worry, or inner conflict. In flow, psychic energy, his term for attention, aligns harmoniously, and this harmony feels good. Conversely, when attention is scattered or hijacked by fear and distraction, consciousness becomes disordered, leading to feelings of anxiety and unhappiness. Therefore, the mastery of life is essentially the mastery of attention. He illustrates this principle with stories from a wide range of people. A rock climber describes how every movement demands such concentration that there is no space for irrelevant thought, and this total immersion is exhilarating. A painter recounts the way hours vanish while working on a canvas, so engrossed in the play of colors and forms that the outside world ceases to exist. Even a factory worker on an assembly line can find flow if he approaches his tasks as challenges to be refined and mastered, transforming what might seem tedious into something engaging. What matters is not the type of activity, but how one relates to it. The key insight here is radical. Happiness is not tied to external conditions, but to how we direct consciousness. Csikszentmihalyi also explores the evolutionary and cultural background of flow. He notes that human beings are unique in their capacity for self-reflection and imagination, but this gift comes with a curse. Our minds can dwell on the past, worry about the future, or spin fantasies that disconnect us from reality. Unlike animals who are absorbed in the immediacy of survival, humans can waste psychic energy on regrets, fears, or trivialities. Flow, then, offers a way to channel this uniquely human consciousness into structured, rewarding experiences that restore a sense of meaning. He explains that cultures throughout history have developed rituals, games, and arts that facilitate flow, whether in the form of religious ceremonies, martial arts, or creative endeavors, because societies intuitively recognized that people need these states for well-being. One of the most profound sections of the book is his discussion of autotelic activities. Autotelic means something done for its own sake, not for an external reward. Flow experiences are autotelic because the activity itself is the reward. When a musician plays an instrument not to earn money or impress others, but simply for the joy of creating sound, or when a child builds a sandcastle without any thought of recognition, they are acting autotelically. Csikszentmihalyi contrasts this with extrinsically motivated actions, which are tied to outcomes like money, status, or approval. The paradox is that people often chase external rewards believing they will bring happiness, yet those rewards rarely sustain joy. Instead, it is the autotelic moments of flow that provide lasting fulfillment. A crucial takeaway here is that the happiest people cultivate autotelic personalities. They learn to enjoy whatever they do by transforming even mundane tasks into opportunities for engagement. He offers examples of such people. An elderly man who, despite having little wealth or social status, finds deep joy in gardening, constantly experimenting and challenging himself with new plants and techniques, or a surgeon who, after years of practice, continues to approach each operation as a chance to refine his craft. These individuals are not immune to life's hardships, but because they can find flow in diverse circumstances, they are resilient and less dependent on external conditions for happiness. Csikszentmihalyi suggests that anyone can develop this capacity by intentionally seeking challenges, setting clear goals, and paying close attention to feedback in everyday life. But cultivating flow is not always easy, especially in a world filled with distractions. He describes the dangers of psychic entropy, when attention becomes disordered. This happens when goals are unclear, when too many demands compete for attention, or when negative emotions hijack consciousness. For instance, someone stuck in traffic might become consumed by frustration, replaying arguments in their mind or stewing in resentment, and this state drains energy. In contrast, someone else in the same traffic might listen to an audiobook or practice observing their breath, turning the experience into something constructive. The difference is not external, but in how attention is managed. This insight has enormous implications for work and leisure. Many people imagine leisure as the ultimate source of happiness, lying on the beach, doing nothing, or consuming passive entertainment. Yet Csikszentmihalyi shows that such passive states rarely lead to flow. Watching television, for example, may provide temporary distraction, but often leaves people feeling empty afterward. True leisure, in the sense that it leads to flow, involves active engagement, playing a musical instrument, engaging in sports, learning a language, or crafting something. Work, paradoxically, often provides more flow than leisure because it naturally contains structure, goals, and feedback. However, because people approach work as an obligation rather than a chosen challenge, they often miss its potential for fulfillment. By reframing both work and leisure as opportunities for flow, life becomes richer. The book also investigates relationships and community. Flow is often thought of as solitary, but Csikszentmihalyi emphasizes the importance of shared flow experiences. Team sports, group music performances, collaborative projects, and even deep conversations can produce flow when participants are equally engaged, attuned to one another, and striving toward a common goal. In these moments, The boundaries of the self blur not just with the task, but with the group, creating a powerful sense of connection. He gives examples of orchestras, where musicians lose themselves not just in their own playing, but in the harmony of the ensemble, or sports teams where players anticipate each other's moves instinctively. These collective flow states strengthen bonds and create communities with shared purpose. On the other hand, relationships devoid of flow, marked by passive routines or lack of engagement, tend to stagnate. Csikszentmihalyi addresses the big philosophical question: what makes life meaningful? His answer is that meaning is not found but created through consistent engagement in flow experiences. He cautions against waiting for external validation or grand events to make life meaningful. Instead, each individual has the power to structure consciousness in ways that produce harmony and growth. He references historical figures, scientists, artists, spiritual leaders, who dedicated their lives to pursuits that absorbed them completely, often in the face of hardship, and in doing so they not only enriched their own lives but also contributed to humanity. An important nuance in his argument is that flow is not about selfish pleasure, but about growth and integration. Activities that lead to flow often push people to develop skills, expand their capacities, and transcend limitations. This is why people remember flow moments as some of the best of their lives. They are not just pleasant but transformative. However, he warns that not all flow is positive. For instance, gambling or risky behavior can create flow but may lead to destructive consequences. Similarly, total absorption in activities that harm others or oneself, like violence, can produce the characteristics of flow but undermine meaning. Therefore, cultivating flow must be aligned with constructive, life-enhancing goals. The closing chapters turn toward practical advice. To create more flow in daily life, one must learn to set clear goals, break tasks into manageable challenges, pay close attention to feedback, and eliminate unnecessary distractions. Developing habits of concentration is crucial, training the mind to focus intentionally, whether through meditation, deliberate practice, or simply making a conscious effort to notice and engage fully with the present moment. He stresses the importance of transforming routine tasks into flow opportunities by reframing them as challenges. Washing dishes, for example, can become an exercise in mindfulness and efficiency rather than drudgery. Over time, cultivating this mindset leads to what he calls an autotelic personality, someone who naturally finds joy in whatever they do. In sum, Csikszentmihalyi presents a vision of life where happiness is not a passive state bestowed by luck or circumstance, but an active creation born from mastering consciousness. Flow is the art of living fully. It is the state where challenges meet skills, where attention is unified, where the self expands and dissolves, and where meaning emerges. The book is both scientific and deeply humanistic, blending empirical research with wisdom about the human spirit. Its message is empowering. No matter the external conditions, we can cultivate flow, and in doing so, we can shape lives of deep satisfaction and purpose. The lasting impression of flow is one of hope. Life, with all its uncertainties and hardships, does not have to feel empty or meaningless. Through flow, even ordinary moments, playing a game of chess with a child, tending a garden, working on a report, can be transformed into experiences of joy and growth. The secret is attention, the simple but profound act of choosing where to direct the energy of consciousness. When we master that choice, we unlock the ability to live not just comfortably, but fully and well. And that's it. Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Thanks for listening to Book Nibbles. If you enjoyed this bite-sized book, don't forget to subscribe for more quick, insightful summaries. See you in the next nibble.